Manny Pacquiao puts Errol Spence and Terence Crawford on notice. Retirement is over. Alright, y'all, it's your boy Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. The PacMan, Manny Pacquiao. He's back, y'all. He said he was ready to come out of retirement, something I've been talking about for a few months now, and he wants to take on the best at 147. Manny Pacquiao had a recent interview with FightHype TV where he had a few things to say about Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Bud Crawford. And I want to start with something interesting that was mentioned in the article about the reason why Terence Crawford and Errol Spence haven't fought at this point. Because Manny Pacquiao said he knows the reason. He knows the answer to that question. And he feels like he stepped out of the way. Hint, hint. Manny Pacquiao was hinting basically at the fact that people wanted him out of the division about 3 years ago. Because they said Manny Pacquiao was holding the division up because he wasn't defending his WBA super title. So, in the meantime, the WBA eventually, because of what was going on in the world, stripped Manny Pacquiao of the WBA super title, which they should not have done, which was completely unfair. They elevated Yordenis Ugas to champion. Ugas ended up fighting Manny Pacquiao, beating Manny Pacquiao on a 10-day notice, which got him completely out of the way. And basically, Errol Spence went on to win the WBA super title and is now the unified champion at 147 with the WBA, IBF, and the WBC titles. Now, there was what people call conspiracy theories out there surrounding what happened to Manny Pacquiao and why it happened to Manny Pacquiao. Why was he stripped of a title he so clearly won for inactivity when at the time nobody was really fighting each other? And Manny Pacquiao was such a superstar that you would think that they would not force him, because Manny Pacquiao makes his money off the fact that people show up to watch him. You know, and just putting a Pacquiao fight on TV and not having any venue really doesn't make him any money. So I don't see why the sanctioning body, the WBA, didn't understand the complexity of the situation and they just didn't hold out. As a matter of fact, why didn't they, as soon as things opened back up? Because before they stripped Pacquiao, the world had actually opened back up. So they could have forced the Ugas Pacquiao fight as a mandatory and not stripped him. Now, Ugas still could have beaten Pacquiao. I'm not taking that away from Ugas at all. But make it fair for Pacquiao. You know, a legendary guy who went in there and beat Keith Thurman, basically beat him up for 12 rounds, deserved better treatment than what he received from the WBA regarding the super title and the Ugas situation. Now, I mean, you can't really blame Errol Spence for that, but in all reality, why would that happen? Why would they strip Pacquiao for inactivity, basically to make Errol Spence the champion? And I think that that's what Pacquiao was hinting at. He was hinting at the fact that they wanted him out of the way, and they got him out of the way any way possible that they could. He was a threat after that Keith Thurman situation. He was a threat to the younger fighters. You know, these sanctioning bodies, they understand the politics of boxing, and older fighters do certain things perhaps that the sanctioning bodies don't like. And perhaps Manny Pacquiao was, in their eyes, purposely holding up the situation. So they felt like, well, we'll just take the title from him and place it in the hands of one of these younger guys because we can get more activity out of those younger guys, and we don't have to pay the older fighter, the superstar fighter, the amount that we have to pay these younger guys to put on the same events. Now, I know people are going to give a lot of pushback on that, but in the reality of the situation, I think that's how it played out. The younger guys were more willing. to, do things according to either the promoters or the sanctioning bodies, to where a guy like Manny Pacquiao, because he's so famous, because he does command such a high dollar amount, can dictate a little bit more to those sanctioning bodies. And promoters can't really control a fighter like Pacquiao because he is so famous and popular and commands such a high dollar amount. So the only way for them to get him out of the way was to basically strip him. Now, does that mean Errol Spence is afraid of Manny Pacquiao? No, that's not what I'm saying. Does that mean that Errol Spence cohorted or collaborated with the WBA and PBC to screw Manny Pacquiao out of the title? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that people behind the scenes know what's up. And sometimes they can do things that benefit the future of boxing and the future of a sport over something that benefits one fighter. Now, that's the big picture. Now, Manny Pacquiao also touched on some other things, just to get that part out of the way, because I think that's the most important part. But he touched on the fact that both of those guys are champions. He's fought pretty much every champion for the past 10 years in the welterweight division. Anybody whose name could have been tied to a belt, he's pretty much faced them. So he was saying that he feels like he's the ultimate test to who's the best welterweight out there, which I agree with. Now, a lot of people would disagree because of the Yordenis Ugas fight, but once again, you got to go back to the reality of the situation of the Ugas fight and how that played out, and pay attention to every fine detail. But I totally agree with Pacquiao. I do think that he could provide a real test for either one of those guys, whether it's Errol Spence Jr. next or whether it's Terence Crawford next. And I think that once again, both of those guys could build off of Manny Pacquiao's success. It's almost like Pacquiao is a willing candidate to be the passing of the torch guy. He doesn't mind getting beat. He doesn't mind you benefiting off his fame. What he doesn't like is people ducking or people not accepting tough challenges. And I feel like Pacquiao is a tough challenge for anybody, even after what I saw in the Ugas fight and what I know now of all the stuff that went on behind the scenes of the Ugas fight. I am completely confident that Pacquiao just got put in a bad situation. Now some people might call that an excuse. Some people might say you're making up excuses for Pacquiao. Hey, it is what it is. Me personally, I try to be unbiased and speak about the whole picture, the whole spectrum of boxing, and not just be, what people like to call a fanboy. But, Pacquiao, I definitely think could challenge either one of those guys. I think it's a perfect storm. A lot of things are going on in the welterweight division. Terence Crawford kind of put himself into a position to where after the knees fight, he may either have to take a boots in his fight. And if he doesn't have to take that boots in his fight, it would be perfect timing for him to take advantage of a Manny Pacquiao fight. It's a little different for Errol Spence with all of these sanctioning bodies stepping in. I'm not sure if he'll have the time now to take on a challenger like Manny Pacquiao, but perhaps he could get some type of waiver. Once again, they could give Keith Thurman step-aside money. Errol Spence could end up fighting Manny Pacquiao in the meantime, just as a fill-up fight and a fight to make a lot of money and get a lot of popularity off of. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that down in the comment section below. Will Manny Pacquiao make his return versus Errol Spence or Terence Crawford? That like button for me, share, subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. More than likely to get a response on the tube, so holler at me over there. And we are live.
Stack my chips, I'ma get money, I'ma stack my chips, cause I'ma get money. Cause I'ma get money. Cause I'ma get money.
Take it like a nigga already told you. Fold up the money, never let the money fold you. Who you know cold, flow more gold. Try and stack chips and I ain't never played poker. Money in the bank, fuck a stash in the sofa. Half of the doja, my ass in the coma. Hoping I don't never cross path with the rollers. All they won't do is harass and pull you over. Still it's about to grind so the paper don't stop. Shorty, if you wanna knock, gotta make it pop. And where you see build if you gotta make it drop. Cause them young D-boys on the block make it hot. But I'ma play it cool, post up, let them roll through. How I'm dropping off bread to me like a toll booth. Yeah, get money, what I'm gon' do. You try and eat, it's on you.
I'ma get